Welcome to episode 73 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC anime universe co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And today we're just doing one episode, Over the Edge, which not only is it one of my favorites, but it's also one of the favorites of our guests. So, Wes, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Wes Lord. I am Chris's older brother. And yes, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the Timm series of animated episodes. And I think growing up, Chris, this was probably, I think we even tried to chase down a copy of, before, studios really released the DVDs of the sets. I think we even bought like a bootleg version on eBay just for this episode.
Oh, absolutely, because I remember it took a long time for them to get this out on DVD. And when it finally did, I was so happy. But even then, it took them a while to get the fourth season, which included all this out. But yeah, I bought off of eBay. Some guy had like burned copies of all the episodes. And I think eventually I figured out where it was on the burned disc, but there was no rhyme or reason to it. It wasn't like they were in any sort of order. It was like New Batman Adventures would be paired with like season one, new BTOS. It was a complete clusterfuck.
And then some of them, the discs just didn't work.
And sounds like eBay.
We were so afraid that this episode in particular was one where it was on a disc that didn't work.
Did we find it?
I don't remember.
We
learned our lesson of
don't buy shit off of eBay. Don't buy bootleg shit off eBay.
Be careful of what you get off of eBay. That's what we learned. So
I was trying to remember because did we watch this when it originally aired? Like how I must have seen it on a rerun or something. I feel like I probably would have gone and watched it in the morning. But I feel like you weren't usually with me watching the cartoons on Saturday mornings, so not at that point.
No,
you were off like rowing or doing something like real people do, and I was just watching cartoons. Things haven't changed at all. So, but Cameron, you hadn't seen this one before?
I had not.
Did you? But you knew about it. You knew the plot?
Not really.
Okay.
I knew the only thing that I knew is that everyone loves this episode.
Okay.
And
so you just got to experience it.
I vaguely knew it was a dream.
Okay.
Spoilers. I'm just gonna ruin that up front.
Yeah. Well, we got to get it out of the way.
Yeah. But I couldn't remember whose dream it was or what caused it.
Okay.
So the whole episode was kind of fresh for me, and it was an emotional roller coaster that I was not ready for.
It is absolutely amazing. So we will get into it, but first we should talk about news because there's been some stuff going on in the comic world. So I got a whole bunch of shit, but Cameron, you must have something.
I got one thing.
What do you got?
Ragnarok is coming out on DVD Blu-ray this week.
Yeah.
I think it just came out. And with it, we got the third part of our Daryl saga. I don't know if you saw it on YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
Daryl being Thor's.
Wes, did you see the shorts?
I know I didn't watch the short, and actually I know you said it's coming out in Blu-ray, but digital I think was released maybe earlier because I had downloaded it last night to watch on the plane coming down here. But I do know the Daryl roommate saga, and that his new roommate is someone pretty special, or candidate is pretty special. So I'll
So Daryl moves to LA, and there's only like a minute of the short on YouTube, so the full thing isn't out yet. It probably will be by the time this comes out.
Probably.
But it's Daryl is roommates with the Grandmaster.
Just Space Goldblum.
Yeah,
everything is better with Space Goldblum.
Yeah, so it's Jeff Goldblum back on Earth, basically being Jeff Goldblum, as I imagine him as a normal roommate.
Oh yeah,
and it's great. And that's all that I wrote down for this week.
Have you just been not on the internet for the last few days?
No, not really.
Okay, because I've
been doing a lot of work.
The big piece of news is that Joss Whedon's off Batgirl.
Oh yes, I did hear about that.
Yeah, which. He says because he never had a story, and I guess he was considering adapting her first appearance, so the first time she suited up as Batgirl, which would kind of make sense to do that, maybe more so than jumping into the Oracle stuff or even Batgirl with Burnside. But obviously, people are assuming that this happened because Justice League was terrible.
Yeah, well, there was murmurs across the internet of his initial Wonder Woman script coming out. And
I have that. I haven't read it. But
okay.
It's available.
People said it's not the best female lead movie.
Yeah.
And so people were comparing, were using that as evidence of why he dropped off Batgirl.
I mean, I think it's probably for the best. I think it's better to bring in like someone new, some like new younger talent, like probably like a female director. I think Warner Bros. Probably also looked at Wonder Woman's like, okay, like this was a big success, but also if it ended up not being good, which let's be honest, based on DCEU track record, it had that potential. I think they would catch more flack.
Well, I hope that the studios just fucking see finally that for these non-A-list characters, you don't have to stick to a formula.
No.
Because we've seen it now. I mean, Wonder Woman is A-list, but we'd never seen her, not in film.
Yeah.
So she got a unique director. Guardians got a unique director. Black Panther got a unique director. Thor 3 got a unique director. And you see that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If the studio will just take a half step back. And I want them to realize that at some point.
I think they might.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't. I mean, so apparently there was a test screening of Aquaman, and so far it's been good buzz coming out of that.
That's good.
Which I want Aquaman to be good.
Yeah. I just want Jason Momoa to. I just want more Jason Momoa. I don't even care about the movie. I just want to see him on screen.
Yeah, he was one of the few pieces of Justice League was good. Wes, you didn't see Justice League, right?
No. I think it was actually on your recommendation.
I think I did post. Just don't go see this.
So full disclosure, I'm someone who I watch movies once they come out on DVD or Blu-ray or digital download. I'm not a huge theater guy, so and I'm also somewhat of a habit who I'll watch the same movie 3 or 4 times rather than watch something new.
I mean, you're good company for that. We're talking about 20-year-old cartoons.
Well, okay. Well, touche. But I think it was on your recommendation that I didn't really give much thought to Justice League. And even some, the people I work with back home said, nah, it's just...
It's fucking terrible.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Jason Momoa is good.
Yeah, that's true.
Flash is fine.
He's fine.
Everything else you can...
Cyborg was better than I expected it to be.
Because he wasn't a robot.
Yeah, that's true. He actually had like something to do. Had some personality. Yeah. He had more personality than Ben Affleck. So
jumping back to Aquaman, I feel like I'd be just as excited for a 2-hour interview with Jason Momoa as I am with the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's the level that I'm at. Like I could care zero for the special effects or the story. I just want to see him do jump jokes.
Yeah. Let's just get like Jason Momoa like sitting in a hot tub with like whiskey and a hatchet because he seems to love hatchets.
Yeah.
And just have him talk for 2 hours.
Yeah, that sounds like a great movie to me.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Aquaman is, actually.
That's what I really hope so. Just water hatchets.
I'd be so on board. All right, so another quick little bit that I saw is Chris McKay, who directed Lego Batman, which is amazing. He is signed on to do Nightwing, but he also just signed on to do Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
So, I mean, I know, Cameron, you play Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played, although I've been told that I'd probably really like it.
I think you would.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't play it correctly. Even though there's technically no right way to play it, my group plays it in a very off-kilter manner.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
play how you like it.
Right.
But I think what this means, though, is that Nightwing is probably delayed at this point. Like, I don't think we're going to get... And
do you think we're going to get a DC film that isn't delayed?
No. No, I don't. Well, no, I guess, yeah, because even Shazam was delayed a lot. No, probably not.
No.
But I mean, I guess, I don't know, I'm kind of okay with this. I still feel like Nightwing should be introduced in a Batman movie, not just get his own movie right from the beginning.
Right.
And again, it all comes down to casting. Yeah. So I guess Chris McKay was on Twitter and he was like, oh, like, what's like the one attribute that you want to see most in...
One asset?
Yeah, one asset. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother going on there. That's just all about the Nightwing butt because someone else has already taken care of that.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's already gone down that path, so it's fine. But don't worry, guys. We'll probably still get Todd Phillips' Joker movie, which apparently now might star Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Nothing about that makes sense.
No.
God damn it.
Well, crazy knows crazy, right? I mean,
yeah. It's weird. It's just a weird choice, and I don't know. Should we get rid of Jared Leto? Should we keep him around?
I don't care.
That's true.
That's the
point,
problem
actually.
now. Is I don't care
really
anymore.
don't care. No, I don't. I just don't either. So, and then the one last little thing I got, which has nothing to do with Batman, but it's my personal favorite, James Bond.
Okay. I also have one other. I just remembered one other piece of news.
Oh, you go first. Then.
Loosely DC related.
Okay, then you go.
There was a great GQ article that came out yesterday about the rise and fall and redemption of Brendan Fraser.
I had seen that. Yeah,
it's a great read. I highly recommend it. But it's loosely connected to DC because he mentioned the last kind of fallout for him was when he lost the role of Superman. Because if you remember, he was up for Superman in Superman Returns.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And when he didn't get that, like he put so much blame on himself that was like his last straw in acting. And it's a really sad article.
Yeah.
And you hear, because I had heard rumors about why he was blacklisted, and it was all things like revolved around alcoholism and like not being professional on set. And then you hear his side of the story and how like after Mummy 2, he was in and out of the hospital for 7 years. He had, after every movie, he had to have a major surgery. He had 3 back surgeries, 2 knee surgeries.
Oh my God.
And he was just like a broken person.
Yeah.
And it's just like really sad to hear that. And then there was like a sexual harassment scandal that blacklisted him. And it just like
I think he was the victim of that, right? Not the perpetrator.
He was the victim.
It was worth clarifying these days.
Yeah, it was at a Golden Globes party, and someone did the ass lift.
Yeah.
And he tried to, he didn't like press charges or anything. He just wanted an apology, and the guy like refused to give it to him. And he like went to his company, and the company refused to say anything about it, and they just blacklisted him for it.
Shit.
Yeah, he was never invited back to the Golden Globes after that. And it's just like, after the interview, I just want to like go and give him a hug.
Aww.
I started watching George of the Jungle just to give him that half of a cent that he gets on residuals.
Yeah,
just to give him anything that I could.
Yeah, we watched Dudley Do Right recently,
so it is great.
It's one of those where in and of itself it doesn't take itself seriously. So
none of his movies ever do, and that's what they're so good at.
Yeah, but especially Dudley Do Right because it's pretty dumb, right? I mean, you take kind of I'd almost say a C-level cartoon character.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But everything about it just works.
Yeah.
Because it's not serious, it's goofy, and it knows it's goofy.
Yeah.
It's self-aware.
And that's what he's so good at.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize his typecast. It was a very odd typecast in the 90s. But it was basically the guy being reintroduced to the world.
Yeah.
So Dudley Do-Right being introduced from like the dumb world to the regular world. Encino Man is a literal caveman.
Tarzan.
Encino Man?
Or George of the Jungle, I'm sorry.
George. Encino Man is the one where he's a caveman with Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that even existed.
I think actually that was
probably for the best.
I think that was one of the trailers on one of the old VHSs, maybe for like Three Ninjas or something. That
you and I
used to watch all the time.
Okay, yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar. I seem to vaguely recall fast forwarding past Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, and then of course Blast from the Past when he was like stuck in the bomb. I guess that like Kimmy Schmidt's kind of like a newish version of that, not quite the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he comes out like the bomb shelter into the real world and with Alicia Silverstone. Our only oh no, except for Yvonne Craig, our only live action Batgirl. Yeah. But Brendan Fraser. I mean, the Mummy, like those movies, those first 2 Mummy movies are amazing.
Right.
Right.
And they also mentioned like him not getting any kind of callback or no one talked to him because he's had 2 franchises that have been rebooted and neither of which have had any connection to him. So the Mummy's been rebooted and Journey to the Center of the Earth was rebooted with The Rock.
Well, I guess
it's reboot's a loose term.
Yeah, they kind of did. There's got to be a term for like when The Rock comes in to just like kick things off again, but it's not really quite a reboot.
Yeah.
I once heard him describe it as franchise Viagra.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say like spin-off sequel.
Okay, yeah.
To jumpstart, maybe? I mean...
Yeah, because like, that's kind of what it is. They bring it, like, they parachute him into Journey to the Center of the Earth. They did that for Fast and the Furious, for, oh, God, there was another one. Oh, G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
G.I. Joe, too. Like, they killed off... I love they did that, too, because, I mean, I actually haven't seen this, but I just know this is true. Like,
it's very mediocre.
They killed off all of, like, the G.I. Joe 1 cast, including Channing Tatum, and that was the year that he got huge. And they're like, oh... Shit, I think they kind of... Did you ever see it?
Oh, yeah.
Did they kind of like backpedal on him being dead, on Duke dying?
Yeah, that's kind of like the opening scene was, I think, his funeral, if I remember.
Okay.
But from what I also remember, it wasn't that they didn't want them back. I think Channing didn't want to come back.
Oh, okay.
Because it was him and then the main guy. He was in The Rookie. He was in...
Dennis Quaid.
You know, the movie he's most famous for, The Rookie.
The Rookie. Yeah, I mean, I got it, right?
Yeah.
I figured you weren't talking about Spencer Breslin, so I figured it had to be Dennis Quaid.
I feel like they just didn't want to come back.
I mean, that's fair. The bit I love about that first G.I. Joe, again, never having seen it. Do you know who played Cobra Commander?
I don't.
Joseph
remember.
Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't think we ever see his face.
No, you don't.
Yeah, but it's just like, what? Of all people? What? Oh my God. Yeah. So my real quick little thing with James Bond. So, because we still don't have a director yet for Bond 25, but apparently Danny Boyle and his writer John Hodge like pitched a version of it to the Broccoli's, enough so that the Broccoli's like, okay, go write your own version of this. So now we have 2 competing scripts for Bond 25.
Ooh.
So we might get a Danny Boyle directed Bond film, or we're going to get another script from Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, who have done like all of the Pierce Brosnans, but also Casino Royale and Skyfall. So it's we still don't know yet if they're actually good writers or not.
I want a good like rivalry in the same sense of Andy Serkis versus Disney.
Oh,
we just get like a plain James Bond and then a James Bond where they can't use the word James Bond. For Wes, if you don't know about this, Disney remade Jungle Book 2 years ago, and at the end of this year, Andy Serkis is making his Jungle Book, since it's now in public domain.
Okay.
And both scripts were kind of sent off at the exact same time, and both movies started production at the exact same time.
Okay.
And so it's just like a really weird, dumb rivalry going on between like Disney CGI versus Circus CGI.
Yeah, and it's all motion capture. Like, both of them are
Okay.
It's meant to be the exact same thing, which is interesting because obviously Circus still has a relationship with Disney. So, but I mean, who doesn't at this point?
Right.
They own everybody. So
that was on the Weekly Planet, as we always reference.
Yeah,
they make the joke. Yeah, they make the joke that Disney just throwing their money around. They want Andy Serkis, but not for a CGI. They're making him be Andy Serkis.
Just actually Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, that's one of the few times he's been not CGI something.
Right.
Which one? Black Panther? Damn it, how did I forget that already?
Claw?
Claw, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. That covers it for all of the random bullshit. Should we actually talk about a little bit of Over the Edge?
Sure.
I guess so. I feel like I need to talk to a therapist first, but I guess we can jump into that here.
It is emotionally intense.
Yeah.
I was telling Wes this morning, I found myself crying when I was watching this episode.
I felt very emotional at the end of this.
Yeah, like not even just like there was actual like
you had this
water on my face. Yeah, single bro tear actually happened when I was watching this, but I'd forgotten that Paul Dini wrote this, which then makes absolute sense.
Yeah,
because he just continues to deliver like the best episodes. But I mean, so like right from the beginning. Okay, so you hadn't seen this. What was your thought when you just see like Gordon busting into the Batcave, shooting at Batman, and calling him Bruce Wayne?
That was the one thing that I mentioned before. I knew it was a dream sequence.
Yeah,
and so that I was just like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I kind of forgot that as the episode went on. Once we got to the flashback, I'd forgotten it was a dream sequence.
Okay.
But yeah, when he comes barging into the Batcave, it was so cool. You see all the props. You see them just shooting up. Like they're not holding back at all.
No, this is one of the most violent episodes.
I think so. And I think, it's the start of the episode it's so captivating because it is so different. You're like, wait a minute. I mean, Commissioner Gordon and Batman, I mean, they almost have, that relationship. Well, why would this ever happen?
Yeah.
It calls into question everything from the get-go of why are they running through the Batcave? Why are they getting shot at? Like, what? Why did they just blow up the Batmobile? Why did they blow up the Batmobile?
Because they have to. And then you see Montoya pop up, and that was a great little.
Yeah,
that's our first time seeing her in New Batman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because she's like in full-on detective mode now.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got that kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of bullet-esque, like the black turtleneck, and like the brown
and the shoulder
holster.
Shoulder holster. Yeah,
it's an awesome look.
Yeah. And then like Gordon is ready to, he's ready to just kill Batman.
Yeah.
And Alfred has to come in and make him miss.
Yeah. That's such a great moment. Just one when when Batman's cornered on the ledge and he just grabs Robin and jumps.
Well, and I think what they did a really good job with is even animating Robin's expression. Like, this is, you can tell even in his face, this is not something that he was expecting to be
he's ever trained for.
Yeah,
no.
Or grabbed and just jumped that far. I mean, they jumped from building to building, but this was a shock even for him of like, whoa, this is This is serious.
Well, I mean, because he's still relatively new to this.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how the timeline works, but I imagine he's probably been, if we treat this part of the episode like it's more or less happening in real time, I think he would, maybe a year max that he's been Robin.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just everything's been turned upside down, busting into the Batcave, getting shot at. Yeah, and like even I love that they're even able to pepper them with like little moments of humor, like as they're falling, which is a beautifully animated sequence too. When they're falling, they cut to his reaction like, "Oh, we are going to die." Still keeping a little bit light, but yeah, I mean, Gordon's gonna shoot him.
Yeah, Gordon's ready to murder,
Which is crazy. Oh, but then Alfred jumps in.
Alfred jumps in, saves their life, gets arrested.
That's also a really touching moment because every once in a while we see that if there's one person that Bruce really does care about, it's Alfred. And they're able to give him that brief moment of acknowledgement. Like, this hurts him a lot to see Alfred basically sacrificing himself.
Well, exactly. And Alfred being the one to sacrifice to save Bruce. Where, I mean, you'd think, Batman would sacrifice a lot to save Alfred. But then
We've seen that a few times.
Yeah. Then in the other way around of what Alfred would do to protect, Batman.
No, I mean, it even that, just this episode keeps just hitting hard. It's like big beats, but that's a pretty big one there.
The next scene is the only one that I wish was a little more impactful.
Which is the boat chase?
Well, the whole part with Nightwing.
Okay.
Because Nightwing and Barbara, or Dick and Barbara, clearly have a relationship or something special. And he's the only one that feels unaffected by the whole situation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. He's a little flippant.
And I feel like I would like to see him in more distress. Because it is a nice kind of flip of status quo, seeing Batman the one not in control, and you do have Dick come in, and even if it's just like one line of like Timm being like, why are you so calm, and Dick just being like, one of us has to be, and then just walking up, just like something that shows that he is just as broken as everyone else,
and almost taking over the mantle for Batman. In that we see that Batman is completely crushed, and even and later in the episode of how he reacts to Bane and even some of the choices he makes in fighting him. But that would have been a nice little tidbit to have Nightwing or Dick is the one who now has to step up and take control of the situation.
Yeah, 'cause when they're in the cave, he does. He's like, okay, you guys stay here. I'm gonna go get my stuff. I'll be back. Just wait for me to do everything.
Right.
Because I guess this is kind of the first time I've ever seen Bruce without a plan.
Right. That's
like
exactly
outside of his element. Again, that's such an interesting space to go into. But I agree with you. It would have been nice to see something from Nightwing because he does seem kind of the least affected by it. And even like
he even gets a joke.
Oh yeah, when Montoya like points the gun at him, it's like you have the right to remain silent. Just like waved. And he just goes around and beats the crap out of everyone. God, he's so cool.
I know.
He's cool enough to make up for the fact that he has a mullet.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Just barely. He's just on that line.
Just chose the line of mullet coolness. Who's got a better mullet, him or Motorhead from Kim Possible?
Oh, Motorhead, always.
You probably never watched Kim Possible, huh?
Well, no, I watched a few episodes, but it wasn't one of my top ones.
Yeah,
so.
It's one of Cameron's big ones.
It's my show. It's my girl.
It's what he'd rather be doing a podcast about. Is Kim Possible?
No, I wouldn't be able to.
I've seen plenty of Kim Possible cosplay outfits that are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. So
yeah.
Because then I do love the like the boat chase though, when they're getting away from the cave. Like the police comes up, and obviously there's a great moment where the police are like, slow down your craft, and Batman just guns it, and gets out way ahead of them, and Nightwing swoops in on his sweet jet ski.
Yeah, and Nightwing always has like the. Batman has the Batmobile, Nightwing has a motorcycle. Like he has the Batboat, he has a jet ski. So I'm wondering what Nightwing's aerial vehicle is. Is it just like a little little Nelly from from James Bond type thing compared to the jet, or is it a little Cessna versus what is Nightwing's aerial?
I'm just not caught up in the idea of Nightwing and Little Nelly. That just to me, I mean, he better tie that mullet down because that thing's going straight up into the props.
Well, what I see is like when you compare the two, Batman stuff, even though he's always portrayed himself as the singular crime fighter, all of his stuff are meant for teams. Whereas Nightwing is literal individual. Like, it's a motorcycle, it's a jet ski.
Right.
I would assume it's some kind of like either hang glider or a jetpack, something for just him.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman, it always can fit someone else.
So I remember when this show was on, I had so many of the toys, but they made a Nightwing jet ski, but it was blue.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't black. It was like this.
No,
it was like turquoise.
It was like the vehicle itself was blue, and the handlebars were like a aqua blue.
Yeah,
and
that's odd.
We were just like, why? This isn't the toy. Like, this isn't.
I wanted like the authentic actual toy. I mean, they did that all the time though. It's like, hey, we're gonna do like these crazy colored up versions. I remember that one came with like a diving suit Nightwing. That toy was actually like the figure itself was kind of cool because his suit was blue, but it wasn't quite as ridiculous as the jet ski. But I also remember though they made his motorcycle, and at least that was black. It was colored the right way, and it had a sidecar. But the most insulting thing about it was that it came with Batman and Nightwing in like these bright red, like motorcycle suits. But Batman was on the motorcycle, and Nightwing was in the sidecar, even though it was the Nightwing motorcycle.
I don't remember
How
that one.
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
I know. Yeah. So, but they did some pretty good ones. Like they had the real version of his new glider too, which is pretty sweet.
It was probably with the colors. The way I'm imagining it is, it's totally for marketing value.
Oh, yeah.
When you have everything on a shelf at Target, Toys R Us, etc., you need something to draw your eye to that one. Because kids will just glaze over it if it's all
black.
If it's just all the black toys.
Yeah, but that was the downside though. Is it was always hard to track down like the normal versions of a lot of those characters. Like Nightwing was hard to come by and just as normal black and blue, and even Batgirl. Like they never made a really good Batgirl figure.
No, because her.
It's because she's dead.
Well,
yeah, that's true. They had a little wooden coffin. That was it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's like
I want the
Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's
The
toys and just the burnt
just
skeletons.
Or the I sent it to you, the Alderaan Lego kit.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
a pile of
It's just
Legos.
a pile of
It's a
Legos.
pile of brown Lego bricks.
I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
I want the GCPD car with Barbara's indent in it.
the over the edge playset.
Yeah.
The dented car.
Batgirl hit here.
Yeah. Batgirl denting action.
It's just like the three emotions of Gordon. It's like Gordon crying, Gordon angry, and then Gordon just also sad.
Yeah, you can just swap the heads out on him. Yeah, I don't, because they never made a Gordon toy even back in the day. I don't think even the new ones they've done new Batman Adventure Gordon yet.
I don't think so.
I actually liked this version better
Yeah.
than the old one. But yeah, so we do get into the flashback sequence where, as we've said, like Batgirl falls off the building. They're chasing Scarecrow through City Hall, and then he basically surprises her and knocks her off. Like, but in that moment when you're inside the GCPD car and she hits the hood, it's really intense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the commentary on this.
No, I didn't even think to do that. Damn it.
I just read about it on the side because I wanted to try for this episode.
I'm glad you did.
After our talk in Black Panther.
Well, you put so much effort in Black Panther, Cameron. It was
I had
appreciated.
2 notes.
Oh, good. It's 2 more than normal.
Yeah. Initially, that scene was storyboarded to be outside of the car.
Okay.
And you were going to see the hit, but WB said that was too graphic.
Okay.
And I feel like inside is so much worse.
I think it is worse.
Well, because it's a surprise, right?
Yeah.
Because how many times have we seen Batman, Robin, any of them fall off a building, then all of a sudden it's their grappling gun, shooting up, right?
Yeah.
And then for this, to just see the picture of the car and it's going and going, they're on their way, and then just bam, right? It was a shock.
It is. Well, because it's fleeting, it's jarring, and then also, I mean, it puts you in Gordon's perspective, too, which I think is more emotionally impactful. But I think way more intense than seeing it from a distance.
I know. That's why I'm surprised that this made it through and the other one didn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of surprised made it through. Like they really pushed the boundaries on this. But I mean, especially that moment though when he gets out of the car and Barbara says "Dad," and he realizes who it is.
Yeah.
One of the points made me cry, just right there.
I just had like the horrible thought of he gets out of the car and someone's like, "Daddy," and it's like a stripper.
Oh God.
It's like, "Candy."
Yeah,
I'm on duty right now.
Yeah.
You can't talk to me like
later,
that.
okay? Just come back. Yeah, it's really, really intense. And so I think it's interesting about this whole episode is because we do eventually find out it's a dream sequence, it kind of justifies I think, some of the logic here. But saying this playing in the real world, do you guys feel like Gordon's turn in that moment works? Do you think he would turn on Batman like that?
I think so, because he'd want to direct the pain somewhere, and Batman is the next thing he sees and the easiest one for him to blame.
I agree, and I think it's one of those where in a situation like that, when there's a shock, right? You're more or less in an emotional shock, right? And you see, I mean, I think even you guys a little while ago did the Holiday Nights, right? Where I think the last scene of Holiday Nights is that the one where so Batman and Gordon have their, like, at midnight, their cup of coffee, and so you see that real special relationship where they do completely trust each other, and now you see Gordon's trust being completely broken and feeling extremely betrayed of, why didn't you ever tell me about this? And I think that's plays into a really good scene there of why he switches so quickly. It's just this like backlash of, I feel so betrayed by you.
Well, and I think it helps too that Bullock's there, because Bullock's never really liked Batman, so you can believe the Bullock would immediately like go after Batman.
Yeah,
and because
because he also calls him murderer first.
Because Gordon kind of decides as Batman's fleeing that he's going to go after him, but he doesn't go after him in that moment, obviously, because he's grieving. But I think that like the Bullock's presence there helps justify that turn for both those characters. And then even we move on to that, and just Bruce is sitting in Wayne Manor just completely distraught. And what I love is when he gets the phone call from Gordon, as soon as Gordon's like, oh, it took me 10 minutes to figure out what's going on Barbara's computer, he goes to the third voice, which we've talked about before, where it's like, because Bruce Wayne is always kind of affected and big and over the top, and that's he only used that voice with people who are in on who he is. I like that Kevin Conroy chose to go there with it in that moment.
There was a thought that I had after this episode ended of, as a kid watching this episode, as a kid watching cartoons, you don't really have an understanding of season length or like when the season finale is or any of that. So watching this live, I don't know how you would feel about this, because you did potentially watch this live.
I feel like I must have watched it live. Like, I don't remember watching it live, but I must have.
I mean, I remember watching it and being captivated. Yeah, that's what stands out. But I don't remember if it was this is the new episode, watch it Wednesday morning or Saturday morning or wherever it would be.
But if you had watched this live, and you didn't know it was a dream sequence yet, this is the end of Batman for you. They can't go any, like, Batman's secret is out. The whole city knows. Like, this is the end of Batman.
Right.
And that's such an interesting concept for like,
I think
a younger audience.
Where you're going is if you didn't know how it ended. So, like, seeing it for the first time, like you said, you'd already seen it as a dream. Or you knew it was a dream. But if you'd seen it the first time live and just how it draws out and, like, what's going on? Like, this is the end. This is the end.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I also know there are episodes after this.
Right,
Like, as a kid watching WB, I didn't know when the show was over. If it just wasn't on that week, I assumed it was gone.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess not anymore. Maybe I'll come back in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'll try again next Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just even as he's going into the Batcave, he turns back and he says sorry to his parents, because this is really like the ultimate failure for him. Like, he sought out to like make the world better, and someone else is paying the ultimate price. He's willing to take that, but not put on somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, but then what I do love is, again, like, it's this huge, dramatic, weighty episode, but then there's that great kind of comedy interlude where we cut over to the interview with all the villains. Now they know that it's Bruce. They're pissed off and they want money for the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. There was a few notes about how Paul Dini was inspired a lot by a Simpsons episode for this. And I kept wondering why. And then you do see these little comedy snippets in between, and everything is very character centered.
Yeah.
So it's always like, you never, especially in this scene, you never have them share the camera equally.
No.
It's you have one and then the other, and then they're fighting for center, and then it's the third and then the fourth. And I feel like that's kind of a Simpsons-y thing to do.
Yeah.
And I always, when I hear like, oh, I was inspired by this, you always think of the writing, or I always think of the writing. But I feel like he got more than that from the show. Like, he got the cinematography and the editing style of The Simpsons.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
I can see
what
that.
inspired this.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, literally a couch gag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not in the same way of The Simpsons, but like they're all sitting there, and yeah, you're right, because it does kind of just like The Simpsons does that a lot. It'll give a moment to a character and then jump off and go into another character. Plus, it's just a great moment from Harley, where she's just like spitting this crazy yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then jumping in with the Mad Hatter too, and I just love that. He's like, "We demand justice. We demand money."
And then Riddler and Scarface are
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which it tripped me up for a moment because we've talked about this, that at this point in the series, canonically, the ventriloquist is the one villain that gets a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, but he's here on the couch. But again, because we eventually realized the dream sequence, it's justified that he would be there. So don't worry, guys. The ventriloquist still gets a happy ending.
Yes, he is still fixed.
Yeah, he's still out as a maitre d' in Metropolis.
Did you see that the lawyer was the
Johnny
same,
Cochran?
Yeah, it's the same lawyer from Joker's Millions.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to remember where we had just seen him recently. Yeah, because he did the same like the Johnny Cochran rhyming thing. I can't remember what it was for Joker's Millions.
I wrote it down for this one. I forgot that one. It's if the bat's on a spree, Wayne must pay the fee.
Yeah.
Amazing. I want to be in the writer's room for that. Like we got to think of a joke.
Just a great, yeah.
It's the one that makes the most sighs in the room. Just like, oh god.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's how you
that
know
one.
it's good.
Yeah,
it's like,
we
oh,
gotta
fuck,
use
we have
that
to
one.
use it because it's just so perfect.
It's so bad.
But that's kind of one of the cool things, like we were talking about last week with Nighttime. At this point in the series, you can have so many kind of like all-star cameos, and they can just pop in for a moment. Like that's the great thing about having this world so fleshed out. And I think even like the overall structure of this episode couldn't happen until you had been in it for a long time. It's all built on these deep-rooted relationships.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. And then we get to Barbara's funeral. Which again, another like really.
Well, first we see Jim. He gets basically fired,
right,
because the city council thinks that he's connected to Batman somehow because Barbara was.
right.
So he's asked to step down, and he does the last resort. He goes to Arkham, and we see a shadowy, bald, bulking figure.
Right.
I wonder who it could be.
It's the Riddler, because the Riddler is now bald. And
yes.
he's been in prison for a while, and he's been really making good use of his time.
Yeah,
he's been
down with the weight
He's
bench.
been bulking.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I mean, imagine the Riddler with that brain and actual like brawn to back it up.
I wish.
Yeah.
The ultimate threat.
Yeah.
But Gordon's like, I need your help to capture the Batman. And then we go to the funeral, which is very upsetting.
It is. Well, and it's fitting too because Gordon knows he would be there. And it reminds me too of the Justice League episode with Superman's funeral, where I think I forget who, but someone makes a comment like, "Man, you'd think Batman would be here, but he is, but he can't be down there. Like it's too painful for him to go through this. He has to do what he always does. He goes in isolation, just watching from the distance." But yeah, when they spot him and Gordon pulls the gun and goes after him, like it's
just immediate.
Yeah,
like he's gone from complete grievance to revenge.
Yeah,
just in an instant. He was never at the funeral for the funeral. He was always at the funeral because he knew it was his way.
Well,
to Batman.
it was his means to an end.
Yeah,
he knew that this was the trap, and that you're exactly right. He wasn't there for Barbara. He was there to capture Batman. And I just would like to point out that the Gotham PD needs to go and do some target practice because they can't hit anything. They cannot hit anything. Yeah. I'm sorry, but watching that last
night, 3 sharpshooters.
3 snipers, and they hit the wall that Batman's standing on. I'm like, really, guys? Really? I mean, 3 of you?
There was a scene that we glossed over that we briefly talked about, and it was...
How dare you? We're very thorough.
I know. When Nightwing gets captured.
Oh right, yeah. So many bullets.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah. Because it cuts when you just see a machine gun shooting at him on the roof,
and then you see like a bruise on his forehead,
and he's kind of limping.
Yeah, and his shirt is like torn open, like on the shoulder.
Is it, I guess rubber bullets. I guess.
I mean,
maybe.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. Maybe I just assumed they laid down like suppressing fire so he couldn't get away.
I guess
and then they captured him, but it could have been rubber bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, rubber bullets make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, because the whole purpose is really they want to capture all of them alive, right? They don't want to take them dead.
No,
they want them alive.
And Cameron, you completely forgot another really important scene, which is when right after Nightwing gets captured.
Oh, that's right.
Timm.
Yeah.
Timm's like, oh, like we need to go in and spring Nightwing and Alfred, and Batman's like, no, this is done. Like, go leave, go turn yourself in.
Yeah, they'll go easy on you.
Right. You're just a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's at that point. I mean, he's lost everything.
He's done. Yeah.
Well,
he's
that's
given up.
Another one that's kind of a heartbreaker because Timm has had a rough childhood.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, and I think it was in is it Growing Pains? So that's the one
With
about
Clayface. The girl.
Is it Growing Pains? Or,
Well, so Sins of the Father is his introduction.
Sins of the Father. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
See, I mean, you see him kind of, he already had one father figure that kind of let him down. And then, you have Batman, who he's always idolized, right? And looked up to. And now he's saying, no, we're done. Like, you're on your own again.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
No, I mean,
What
it's just devastating every single time something keeps going wrong. And it's just like,
and you feel
out.
You feel bad for the kid.
I do. Yeah, you do. Like it's another huge emotional moment. And Cameron, you should have mentioned it. All right, you should have mentioned it.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been slipping on my notes.
Yeah, really, just get on top of it. But yeah, so we get the funeral and everyone has lost everything, and that's when we realize that the guy in the prison was obviously Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And about that. And even that fight is really, really brutal. And like Wes, you were talking about this, where the nature of that fight, the dynamic between them is different than any other time.
Well, and I think, there's the line of, I think Bane says it's like to the death then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Batman says it makes no difference now. Which, I mean, Batman's always had this one rule. What's Batman's one rule?
Won't kill
we
anybody.
don't kill anybody. And now he's completely given that up. It makes no difference now.
Yeah.
If I die, if you die, if we all die.
Well, I think at that point, I think he's genuinely kind of hoping that Bane kills him.
Yeah. But I mean, he's also someone who's not going to go out without a fight. And just the brutal nature of how he fights with, taking his cape off and grabbing the rocks.
so cool.
Such a cool moment.
And just, wailing on Bane. And that's the only thing you can really do against Bane.
Yeah.
You can't, there's no finesse fighting Bane.
No.
It's brute force.
Well, and it's kind of fun just the way that these episodes have timed out that, we did nighttime last week. So obviously it's Superman dressed as Batman fighting Bane. And we were talking about that even then.
I forgot about that
that's
episode.
That's a great episode.
That is
I think that was pretty much our favorite.
Yeah, that was my favorite Superman episode so far.
Hands down. Yeah, like even Superman going up against Bane is challenged.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is that I think Superman's so used to just fighting his way through things that he goes up against an opponent who's not only physically powerful but also smart. Whereas Batman knows he has to always be smart. He can't go toe to toe with him, so he has to, in this case, especially play dirty. Because even when Bane's got him in the chokehold and he cuts the venom hose and ties it to the shattered bat signal.
Yeah.
Really playing dirty.
No. I agree.
Yeah, and the geography of how they get from the church to the top of the GCPD is weird. But again, it's so perfect. That's where they end up together at the end. I mean, Gordon throws on the bat signal and points it at Batman, and that is the image that ties the two of them together.
Right.
And it's the way it's just become completely bastardized, and the fact that at the end it kills them essentially too.
Yeah. It's interesting that. The thing that brings them together, the bat signal, right? The physical thing that they use to communicate with each other, or at least Gordon communicates with Batman. And then that's what also is the ultimate demise of them, is that Bane...
Poetic justice.
Yeah, well, Bane takes it and throws it at him, and it's like, all right, well, you're done.
Yeah, but it just goes to show the level of detail they throw through every single part of this.
No, I think it... Yeah, they were so detailed and so... thoughtful about every aspect.
Well, and what I think is really smart is, because at this point we start to realize, okay, it is in fact a dream sequence, and it's a trope. It's done all the time, and usually it's not great because once you're out of the dream, all the tension's gone. But they're really smart about how the real big dramatic moment is saved for the real world.
Yeah.
At the end, this question of, is Barbara going to tell her dad?
Well, I think it's because they handle the dream sequence better. Most dream sequences, it's like, it revolves around the character's death.
Yeah.
And while it does revolve around their deaths, that's not the point of the dream. The dream is about what would happen if her two father figures had to fight or didn't like each other anymore.
Right. Well, it's the fear. What is your fear? That's what it pulls from.
Yeah. The fear isn't them dying, it's them turning on each other. And so that tension can be carried over. when the tension is just the person's dead, now they're not.
Yeah.
I think that is what people dislike the most about the dream sequence trope.
Yeah, I mean, it saves the real moment for the end there. And even when Barbara's like, I have to tell him, and Bruce, he pauses for a second. He's like, I understand.
Right.
He gets that it's not his job. But I really love that moment when Barbara sits down with Jim and she's like, here, take a seat. And he's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it's interesting because, she dances around. He's like, oh, I just took on this job. And he cuts her off. And is basically like, I always support you. And that's all I can say because that's all I can say. So, I mean, I read it as he knows. How did you guys read that interaction?
So, I mean, I read it as he's just being... I look at it where he's being the supportive father. She got the answer she wanted to hear, but I don't know that really alleviates her fear of it. Like, it's not a concrete... She didn't directly head-on face that fear, right? She just kind of went... He just went, look, I'll support you no matter what, but... I feel like that's still shocking. I mean, we saw how he would react, right? Or at least in her mind, how he would react.
Yeah.
That's, to me, I don't think she just kind of heard the answer she wanted to hear, but I don't think that fear was actually addressed.
See, I think he acknowledges in that moment that he knows.
In the commentary, Deanie does say that he knows.
Okay. Yeah, because he says that's all I can say about this. And he kind of gives like a little bit of a wink.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's what they were going for, is that he knows, but if she actually says the words, then that puts him in a compromised position. He can't do anything about it.
Well, I mean, in this case, his ignorance truly is bliss because he just has to say, look, I know, but I can't say anything.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of also raises the question is how much does Gordon know even about Batman?
Yeah.
Has he kind of willfully ignored who he could be or not? But I mean, you've read Hush, right? It's kind of a comment that Bruce makes at one point too. It's like Gordon's too good of a detective to not have figured this stuff out. And when Batman's strangling the Joker, he says, like, think about who your role models are. What would they think of you if you did this? I mean, that's basically flat out saying Gordon knows who he is, but just he will never communicate it. And I guess that's not in the DCAU quite as much, but I think there's a possibility that Gordon knows.
Yeah, and also this episode, which I didn't think about until the end, this is all from Barbara's perspective too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So she doesn't think her dad knows. So I think it would be completely different if she had this dream sequence after
that conversation where she might have picked up that he does know and that.
Yeah. I think he knows about her. I suspect he probably knows about Bruce too. And he's like choosing to look the other way for the sake of what they do. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And I mean, the fact that it's this huge dramatic thing and it's got so much weight to it, it's still so funny. Like, it just goes to show really how damn good this show can be.
Yeah.
Thank God, 'cause we got like Critters coming up soon, which is like it's a huge letdown.
Yeah.
Now it's like, Wes, I also remember, because like I mentioned this before, kind of beginning, I remember sitting and watching these. I don't remember you ever really joining me to watch them like on Saturday mornings. Like, how much of this did you watch back when it was on?
I mean, I remember watching a fair amount of it because I'm trying to think of the timing. I was still probably in.
So this came out. This was 98.
So I mean, I was still in middle school.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wasn't trying to be an adult yet.
Yeah. Sure. I'm too cool for cartoons.
Yeah. Exactly. Although now at 31 years old, I think I watch more cartoons than any other form of.
Oh yeah, same.
I mean, no, they're all adult cartoon or like Bob's and Archer and
they're all
such.
amazing.
But no, I mean, I remember watching this one in particular, not knowing how it was going to end.
Yeah.
And so to me, this was like, well, what is going on? This is so different than any of the other, ones that we had seen before, Joker, or like, Holiday Nights, which is kind of goofy and cute.
It's fun. Yeah, it's playful.
Or even some of like the crossovers with Superman. Because I think this did come after World's Finest.
Yeah.
Where you see the Batman Superman crossover and all of that. And just being really dark and intense and not what you kind of get from any of the other ones. Any of the under the old animation style or even just other new Adventures of Batman style. It was different.
Well, because we've talked about this too, that this is kind of like peak adultness for cartoons in some ways, so like for kids cartoons, because like this was coming after like the Animaniacs, Pinky the Brain, all the work that Spielberg did, along with Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, these guys kind of push it, and it was kind of after this you go to The Batman, which skews very kids again, and it takes away guns and it takes away like violence and flame and all this sort of stuff, like fire villains, like we were talking about last week. But here, like this, when people say dark, they always think like just like a color palette, which is true here, but like this is emotionally is really, really dark.
Yeah, I don't think up until this point we've never had an episode this emotional.
No.
We've had a couple that like pushed the boundary of the time. Like we had Robin's Reckoning.
Oh, it's so good.
The Clayface episode that we had a few weeks ago. But this, like, I would say this is number 2 for me in the most emotional DCAU episodes.
Oh, behind The Man Who Has Everything?
I would put it above Man Who Has Everything.
Oh, okay.
I'd put it behind Ace. I don't think anything's going to be
Epilogue.
Ace for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever... So in JLU, there was a season all about Cadmus. It's like Amanda Waller ran like the Cadmus program, basically the government's attempt to create super soldiers to combat the Justice League.
Okay.
And at the end of that, it ties back into like the origins of Terry in Batman Beyond.
Okay.
But there is a scene where Batman is facing, like the whole Justice League is facing off against the Royal Flush Gang. They're all super powered. And so the Ace, she has like telepathic powers. And they're killing her. And so they send in Batman to take her out, and he won't. He just like sits on a swing next to her and just talks to her until she dies. And
you see him walk out like cradling La Pieta style her dead body.
Now, like, is that why? Because his dog in...
I think that's coincidence.
Okay. It's not cause and effect.
Well, because Ace...
that would become after...
Yeah. So Ace the Bat Hound from Batman Beyond existed before Ace the character in Justice League and Justice League Limited, but obviously the Royal Flush Gang, I'm pretty sure preceded... I'm not sure when I don't think the Royal Flush Gang was a creation of Batman Beyond. I think that had been around before.
I don't know.
I have to look that up. I'm not quite positive. But yeah, I think it's just coincidental.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think even the Batman Beyond Ace is named after the comic book Ace Bat Hound from...
I got you.
I'm assuming the 50s, because it was always the 50s when this weird sort of shit was going on.
Where there's a super...
There was like Streaky
dog.
the super... There was Streaky...
Super Cat?
Streaky was Supergirl, Super Cat, and then it was... What was her super horse called? I forget.
Oh, I don't know.
It was Comet?
That sounds right.
Yeah, Supergirl had a horse named Comet that used to be a centaur that somehow became like a sentient... I don't know. We didn't... It was,
we tried.
I don't know what was going on with it.
There's also a Young Justice episode that attempted to do something like this.
Which was that one?
It was called Failsafe. It was episode, I want to say 14 of season 1, and it was when the Young Justice team watched the entire Justice League get obliterated in an instant, and how they have to kind of step up and now be the leaders.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that one, yeah.
And each one of the members dies off one by one. So you see, like, Robin gets blown up, Superboy gets evaporated, the new Beast Boy dies. Like, literally the entire team gets obliterated until it's just Miss Martian and Martian Manhunter. And at the end, like, they save the planet, and then, like, another spaceship comes down, and it turns to Martian Manhunter, and he stabs Miss Martian through the chest. And you're just like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on now?
Yeah.
And then you find out that it was another dream sequence from Miss Martian's perspective, where it was a training simulation on how to handle kind of grief in the battlefield.
Okay.
That turned to such an extreme because Miss Martian couldn't handle her emotions. And so it was great because the next 3 episodes, which I know they're not going to do it in this series, but it would be really cool if they did. In Young Justice, the next 3 episodes were them going through therapy sessions on talking about like what was going on in their mind when they all died and they saw their friends die. And you see each character's individual way of dealing with that emotion, and like some of them suppress it, some of them kind of turn it into anger. And it was just such a great like mini story arc that I feel like if I hadn't seen that first, this would be so much more emotional for me.
No, that makes sense. Well, and then that's even the difference too of like when this was made, very episodic storytelling. Now, like with Young Justice, it was much more serialized, where they could pick up those threads and keep going them with. Here, they don't really do that. They have like references sprinkled throughout and like loose connections, but it wasn't really until Justice League you started doing like arcs. Even JLU really was the first time they did like season-long arcs for the characters.
Yeah, because Justice League, it was all 2 or 3-parters.
Yeah.
And JLU is when it was still the 2-3-parters, but there was a greater storyline that connected all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I would say that I think this is like one of those episodes you say to people, like, if you want to see how good the show is, you sit down and watch like this. I think like Nighttime, or obviously Phantasm, which is probably still the single best piece out of the DCAU. Still the best Batman movie. Okay. Well, any other thoughts on the episode itself, or should we roll on into bat plugs here?
I have two quick thoughts.
Okay.
Still. They had a new action director for this episode.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember his name right now, but it's very anime inspired, which is why I was very excited for it.
In what sense? Because I don't really watch a lot of anime, so I wouldn't pick it up.
So when I read that, I got a little confused, and then I remembered the time period, because I know anime styles now, but this is 1998 anime fighting, where it's not as fluid or dynamic as it is now. But you can see a lot of, like, I compared it to like the not Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop style of, like, it's very, every punch you feel the impact, and you see that a lot in the what were the 3 that I wrote down? Bane versus Batman. When he like gets hit against the wall, you feel the impact. And usually in these shows, when someone hits a wall, they just break through, and that kind of loses the impact because they just stand up immediately. Batman slams into the wall, and you see it cracking, and then you see him kind of out of it for a second, and Bane takes advantage. And that's something we've never seen in a fight sequence before in the show. And then the big one was Nightwing versus the Police.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's very fluid. And you see like all of these crazy acrobatics and he's jumping around. And we sometimes see that, but never in this level. Like they really went above and beyond with the acrobatics of this scene.
Well, and for some reason I have this memory or thought, or that I read at some point, that this might have been the first one where they did outsource some of the animation. And I may be wrong, but for some reason that sticks out in my head, right? That they did outsource it to, I think it was like a Korean animator.
Yeah, because you worked with a few companies. I think most of the companies through BTOS were all Korean animation firms, right?
Yeah, and I wish I could remember the names of any of them.
Because
I want to say this one, I want to say it was LMS.
Okay.
It was another 3-letter acronym.
Okay. Because I remember what I noticed most is like in the cave scene when they're running, you know, especially now when we're watching them on huge TVs and crystal clear high def TVs back 20 years ago, that
massive cathode ray tube television.
Or like on our 13-inch screen that we thought was awesome. But you can really tell that it is very anime style, and more from like the far out scene, like the wide cut scenes, not the up close ones. But so maybe I'm completely wrong, but I read that somewhere.
That's for the fans to decide.
Yeah, exactly. They can write to us and tell us we're wrong.
And then the last one was when Bane kicks Gordon, and Gordon just kind of turns into a rag doll as he bounces on the ground. That's very anime-esque.
Okay, 'cause a thought that occurred to me as you're talking about this, like, I mean, we've talked before about the how in animation the screen will go white on impact because that's kind of their way of drawing around actually having two bodies kind of collide, right? That's the point of it. Did they do that here at all? I feel like
no. I think that's a more recent anime trope. Because again, I was trying to think of like how fight scenes were done in the 90s compared to now.
Okay, because I was actually thinking that maybe that was part of the reason it felt more on the anime side, was that like everything was animated rather than having, because that's been pretty typical of a lot of Batman animated series, like this big, like in Nighttime they do that too, like the hits often have that flash. I feel like that didn't happen here. Which I feel like kind of grounds it in a more feeling of verisimilitude too, where it's like it feels more real because the impact's happening.
Absolutely.
But I wonder if that has something to do with the new art director too.
Maybe.
Fight. What was the title?
Battleman.
Battleman. Yes. Yeah, they brought in Bruce Battleman, and he did a fantastic job with it.
I don't remember his actual. I would say like action choreographer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the action in this is amazing. Oh God, I love this episode so much, guys.
And then do we have 2 hours for this? How long do we have the booth for?
We have the booth for a while. I mean, we're just a little over an hour now.
Okay.
So
I want to ask the question to you two, since you guys are such big fans of this episode. Would you have wanted to see it drawn out into a 2-parter or into a movie?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know, I think that it serves the story really well the way it is. There's definitely things that I would have liked to seen more, like maybe see what Robin, when Batman says we're on our own, leave. Like, where does Robin go? What does Robin do? Maybe, what's the Joker's reaction? Like, let's just even understand what, I mean, we always talk about, you can say Batman and Joker are the yin and the yang, right? One needs the other, and vice versa. Just kind of what his reaction would be to know who he really was, and I mean, would he agree with it? And kind of like, oh, it makes sense now. Like, I could see the Joker just being like, I get it. Yeah, okay, fine. It's hard to tell if it would really change it if it were drawn out more. I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it, maybe a 2-parter. I don't know if it would work well as a full-on movie. I think part of it too is that it's hard to do these like atypical structured episodes as a feature because you have to play in kind of a more somewhat linear fashion, but also just like you have to kind of maintain the reality of, like, I feel like if you did like a huge Batman movie where the whole thing was a dream, people would be like, oh really? Even if it has a kind of emotional impact.
Yeah.
I think what I like here is that it is so efficient, that it hits so many things in a very brief period of time. Now, but along what you were saying, Wes, I would have liked to see a little bit more of how the world reacts. Because we just get a line on the TV of like, oh, yeah, and who now is able to be
billionaire Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen a little bit of how, how that impact would spread out. Like how would the Joker react to it? And we will eventually actually figure out that information too, how the Joker reacts to that news in a different thing. But yeah, how would he react to it, or like how would Lucius deal with it, or just what's the fallout of everyone knowing this now, right? How do people see Batman? We see how the police see him differently, but how does the rest of the city see him differently now that they know who he is? Like, do they have greater appreciation because someone who they kind of threw away as this just billionaire playboy is actually out there trying to help people? Do they resent him more because he's just some rich guy going out and
doing
with
what
everything?
He wants? And
so it would
putting
be
himself above the law.
Right. Yeah, I think, and we've had a few places here and there we've gotten to see how the world reacts to that reveal, but I think I would have liked to see how the DCAU, how that world reacts to it, because I think it is much better at handling the nuance of the characters and other things. So I would almost like to see maybe an extended cut. Yeah, like what happens to Robin? How do people react to it? I don't know, for you, Cameron, do you want to see it done in a longer?
I would have liked to see it in a 2-parter. I mentioned before I wanted Nightwing to have more of an emotional weight to him dealing with Barbara's loss. Just giving everyone kind of an individual scene on how they would handle the grief.
Yeah.
It could be like a 2-minute scene for each person. I think would add a ton to this. You see Bruce just kind of like not like he'd be the last one. He just wouldn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Gordon could like kind of go on this rampage, and it would take Bullock, the one who's usually the hothead, to have to like calm him down, be like, look, you need to step out for a minute. You have Nightwing, who would kind of like overdo it in training, and like he would start to like I just see him like on the punching bag going all out, and the bag like falls off.
Is he wearing a shirt?
No. Why would he?
Good.
No,
right,
I see him. The way that I see it written is like he's going on the bag. He like in the same fashion as like the first Avengers when Captain America punches the bag off and like looks at it. I'd see him like have the wraps on his hand. He like look down, his knuckles be bleeding.
Yeah.
Just like showing that he's overdoing it. And then Timm would kind of be like, hey, let's go get someone.
Yeah.
Like
right.
You need to like him trying to get Batman out of the cave. He just couldn't. He wouldn't.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see like Timm, I don't know, like trying to get like Superman to help or something like that. Right?
I was just thinking that, like,
like
who else? Who would Timm? If Timm knows he needs to turn to somebody, who would he turn to? And trying track down Superman, because Superman knows, and we see that in World's Finest.
Yeah,
right.
And how would he react to it?
But even if we just kept it in the Gotham family, I see Timm going to Nightwing first.
Okay.
And that not working, and then I would see him like in pedestrian clothes trying to go to the police, and then that's when he'd be the one that would see all these reactions. So he's the one that would see Gordon kind of losing control, and then Batman would be he'd like maybe go to Alfred. Alfred would not be handling it well. But yeah, and then you brought up how the Joker would handle it.
Right.
And I'd love to see him just like not care anymore. Like there'd be like a breakout in Arkham, or like because they were all put in because of him, they might have a way out. And I would see like Harley coming up and be like, "Oh, Puddin', we can finally leave," and be like, "I don't care anymore."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they took away the one thing that I wanted.
Yeah, it's like,
now
well,
I have
is-
no yeah.
This isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you took away all the fun of this.
I feel like the Joker would just walk away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, they're like we're free, we're out, and he's like, I don't
he's
care.
just kind of done. He's like,
Yeah.
all right.
That would be great. I would love to see Mark Hamill play something like that.
Yeah,
too.
there'd be like a riot going on at Arkham, and you see Harley come in, and like Joker's just like sitting cross-legged on his bed.
Yeah,
He's
and like, oh, why aren't
I
you?
thought you loved a good riot. And he's like, "What's the point?"
What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not coming. What's the point? Like,
Yeah.
what's the? There's nothing worth it anymore. Now, have you seen Return of the Joker, the Batman Beyond movie?
No.
I think so. That's when
We get the flashback.
yeah.
It jumps back to basically the end of the New Batman Adventures timeline, and we see what happens to.
When Timm becomes Baby Joker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
It's.
it's
I
so
think
sad.
that's actually probably the darkest
forgot about that,
darkest part of the
yeah.
whole DCAU is like the Joker tortures Timm, but also in that moment the Joker learns who Batman is, and the speech he gives where he's like, it's actually just kind of sad. It's really, really good. Oh, God, love Batman Beyond.
Yeah, those are my 2 points. I would be
okay.
interested in seeing. Maybe we can talk to Sam about
Oh yeah, do
how
a remake. Yeah.
how we remake this into a 2-parter.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's basically the same thing I said with the Clayface episode, that I wanted to be a 2-parter. I just want more emotional resonance with the characters.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And I think, like, especially because I think for you kind of saw like Young Justice more or less first before you saw a lot of this.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think you're approaching it from a basically wanting like slightly more depth and sophistication in the storytelling, which is totally fair. So I think there's more room to be mined. There's like more stuff to pull out of here.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, still amazing. All right. Should we plug?
Let's do it.
All right. Cameron, what do you got?
What have I watched this week? I watched Game Night. I mentioned this to you before the podcast.
yeah.
I watched Game Night this week.
How
it's amazing.
was it? Okay, I
it's-
wasn't sure. It was hard. Like off the trailer, it's hard to tell if it's gonna be good or not.
Yeah, I was going to the theater and I couldn't decide between like Game Night or Annihilation, because both are reviewing great on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
are.
Both are above 95%. And I was like, no, I'm gonna try a comedy, because it's been a while since we've had a good comedy in theaters.
Yeah. Like The Big Sick, I'd say probably is, and that's even more of a dramedy.
Yeah, just like a clean comedy, because like we had Big Sick, we had Lego Batman, which and Ragnarok, which I consider the 3 biggest comedies of last year.
Yeah.
But none of them were like straight comedies. And so this one was great. It has a very big like 21 Jump Street feel to it.
Okay.
It's kind of nice to see Rachel McAdams in a comedic role again.
Yeah, based on some of the stuff of her in the trailer, it looked like she does a good job with it.
And it's a really cute dynamic between her and Jason Bateman.
Okay.
I will say the third act kind of loses me. It does kind of get too big for its britches.
Okay.
But the first 2 acts are so good.
Okay. Well worth seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to get out and see that one because I like that cast too. Because it's also Kyle Chandler's in there, Winston from New Girl.
Yeah. Okay, it was the guy from
I
New
can't
Girl.
remember his
I knew
name,
it.
but yeah, he's great. I'm trying to remember who else.
No one else really big, is
Okay.
But they're all like, you'd recognize them from things, but I just can't figure out what they're from.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like because so many of the comedies these days like huge big name cast comedies, like, oh, the budget just gets overblown to pay all these guys and they all need their moment. This feels like it was more like, we're gonna pepper this with really talented people, more so than just getting big names for the sake of big names.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Okay, nice.
And then I plugged it last week, but I felt like it was an unjust plug because I'd only watched the first episode, but I just finished Everything Sucks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you went back and rewatched 3 Billboards.
Oh, no.
With like not on the... So Cameron watched 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri on the plane. But that means that it was all cut up, and Martin McDonough, who's the writer-director on that, is like a genius with swearing.
Mm-hmm.
And okay,
I had to watch the edited airplane version that had no swearing.
Right.
The TBS version.
Yeah.
I feel like.
What's the point? Even? Okay, but
it was very funny.
So Everything Sucks, though. How was the rest of it?
It got much better.
Okay, good.
So the first 3 or 4, until you actually get the plot. It's just kind of a meh show. It's a meh show with a great soundtrack, but once you get to the actual story, I really liked it. It's 10 30-minute episodes.
Okay.
After like episode 5, I just binged it. I didn't do anything else for the rest of my day.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
That's probably the soundtrack I'll be listening to for the next 3 weeks.
Because it's all like early mid-90s.
Yeah, and I figured out when the movie takes place. That was my big thing. It's like, what year is this? It is officially 1996 when that movie takes place.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So at least you're alive.
Yes. Well, it was just bugging me of like I had to know exactly where all the references were.
Yeah.
Right? And so they make like an Independence Day reference.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so it's after this date.
After
okay.
Yeah. Wait, so did you figure that out on your own, or did you like look online to get confirmation?
I figured it out on my own.
Okay, I don't know.
I can do my movie detective work.
You're sleuthing?
Yes.
You're cinema sleuthing?
Mm-hmm. I'm a cinema Sherlock Holmes.
Oh wait, does that make me you're a cinema Watson?
No, you're just a better Sherlock.
Okay. I was like, if I'm the Martin Freeman version, sure, I'll be your cinema Watson.
I'll be the American elementary Sherlock Holmes, and you can be
the Johnny Lee Miller,
yeah,
and I can be Benedict Cumberbatch. All right,
where's Lucy Liu?
We don't have a Lucy Liu.
No, I'm just saying, where's Lucy Liu? That's all, so.
Would you like to be the Lucy Liu?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys watching, listening, reading to?
Wes, how about you?
Well, so maybe not so much as a plug, but maybe going back to news that I just thought of is we saw the first trailer for Lost in Space.
Oh yeah. Yes, that looks so good.
So, I mean, that's pretty exciting. I mean, Chris and I grew up watching the original Lost in Space, not the crappy...
Although I watched that a lot. It's terrible, but I watched it a lot as a kid.
The movie, yeah. No, I remember, and I remember when that trailer came out for that, I was so excited about it.
They were good trailers.
And it was one of those movies where I watched it a lot, and I did kind of, this is before IMDb and all that, but found out that they filmed a whole bunch of other stuff that just never made the cut.
Yeah.
And stuff that I think would have made the movie better. But
yeah,
and it's kind of meh. And the hard part was always like, that's not the Jupiter 2.
No, I know.
That's not the Jupiter 2. Sure, it's outdated just to have it as a flying saucer spaceship, but that's what the Jupiter 2 was.
Yeah.
But that looks exciting. I mean, just to have it, and then
in that teaser, we get just a bit of the outside, and at least based on them walking into the ship, it looks more like the original
Jupiter 2.
Yeah,
right.
And so I actually had a chance to read the script for that pilot a while ago. And
you Hollywood.
Oh yeah. Let me just straighten out my tie here. It was really good, but what's interesting is based off that script, it didn't sound like the ship would look like the original Jupiter 2, so it looks like they may have changed some stuff. But no, I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's hard to hear the robot voice because it's not the robot voice that we grew up with.
No,
right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. Like that's not the robot. But
because that actor also died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was probably
old
when he did the original.
He did it in the 60s. Yeah, because I think he died not too long after they did the movie. They brought him back for the movie.
Yeah. So that may be a little bit of news and a plug.
It's a plug. Go watch the trailer. Get excited about this.
Again, plug. You talked about Ragnarok. I watched Ragnarok last night on the plane. That was pretty cool. I think
it's
up
fun.
there with one of the better Marvel ones. And then kind of completely outer space, but I've been rewatching Deep Space Nine.
Ooh.
And what I really like about Deep Space Nine is it is much more character development than even episodic as the Next Generation would be. And at the time watching it, you're kind of more concerned, at least when I watched it originally, like, okay, well, what's going on with Starfleet? Cisco, and then they have the Defiant.
Where's the Defiant? I just want more Defiant.
Where's the Defiant? I don't care about this. But then, watching it, the character that I've really come attached to, and I think it focuses more on that when you watch it, you're focused on Starfleet, is Quark. And and how a dynamic of a character Quark really is, in terms of he's always scheming, but he actually does more or less try to do the right thing in most situations. And it's just something now watching it as an adult, it kind of I feel more for Quark than I did, say, when I first watched it, and I was like, I just want to see the Defiant blow shit up. Right? I mean, that's
it's always a fun point in aging when you notice that you relate more to the other characters as you get older.
Right. I think I might relate more to Quark or to Chief O'Brien than I was like, I want to be Cisco. I want to be.
Like as a kid, you want to be like the hero, and then eventually you're like, oh, I'm not a hero. I'm the quirky sidekick. And I really like that sidekick. I'm just gonna lean into that harder.
My favorites are all the SpongeBob ones. Like as a kid, you always were on SpongeBob's side, but now that I'm an adult, I really understand where Squidward's coming from.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, SpongeBob kind of grating sometimes. I really sympathize. It's Davy Jones, right? He's got the Flying Dutchman. Yeah, I sympathize with Davy Jones. He's just trying to run his ship, and SpongeBob is just tearing it through barnacles, scraping the side of it up.
I love all the Disney princesses. The scene where Ariel's like, "I'm 15, Dad. I'm an adult," and now that you're past 15, you're like, "No, you're not.
You're a child.
Go to your room.
Shut up."
I'm 31 and I still don't feel like an adult. So. But
Chris, what are you watching, listening, reading?
So I watched this great video from our friends over the Watchtower Database. They did a cool video figuring out where in the DCAU timeline Batman or Harley Quinn falls, the movie that we went and saw at Comic-Con.
Okay.
Because Bruce Timm has said that he considers it part of the DCAU, and obviously there's a lot of things that are different about it. But clearly that's what they're drawing from. And so they were able to kind of pinpoint roughly where it falls, kind of like basically a little bit after Wild Card, which is the penultimate episode from Justice League. Oh, no, maybe not quite. I think it's Wild Card and then the Christmas episode and then Star-Crossed. Doesn't matter. But they're basically able to figure out like roughly where that would have to fall in the DCU timeline. So it's pretty cool. I guess they do a whole bunch of other timeline videos. I'm going to go check out some more of those, and maybe they can help us figure out like how we should structure what episodes we watch when as we get into, like, especially when we start getting into like Static Shock and Justice League and like even Batman, like New Batman Adventures. These are all kind of overlapping somewhat simultaneously.
Right.
So maybe they can help us with that. So it's worth giving it a watch. And then also something we talked about on the Black Panther crossover, but I'm actually going to plug it here properly, was that Vanity Fair did this really interesting video interview with Ryan Coogler where he breaks down the fight sequence from the casino fight in Black Panther, which for me, that's the best scene in the whole movie. And the level of detail that he goes into about how much they thought through the whole process and how the themes are really tied into the characters and the fight sequence, how it plays out. It's just interesting to see someone put that much thought into an action sequence and proving that, action can still do a lot in terms of telling story and building character.
I went and watched Black Panther a second time after watching that video.
Okay,
and I really noticed all of the colors.
Yeah.
Every tribe has a unique color, which I didn't catch on the first time.
Same.
But then when it's just the three of them, they're almost always in that red, black, and green. So it's a super cool kind of tie-in for the movie.
Oh no, it's amazing, and I think that movie one in general proves that serious filmmakers make these. Yeah, they're action blockbusters, but they hand the reins and frankly the budget to people who really want to make very great films, something to say. And I think Black Panther shows that. And then this video kind of helps encourage that idea too, like seeing how it's all done. So give that a watch. And then also I guested it on our friend Jonathan's podcast, Buzzed on Broadway. We recorded it a little while ago where I joined him to talk about Chicago. So that's coming out this upcoming week sometime. So I'll post that once it comes up. But you can listen to me get increasingly more drunk off gin and talk about how much I like Chicago.
Amazing. Perfect.
The play, not necessarily the
not
city.
The city.
Yeah, that's the city. Excuse me. Yes, the movie musical. Yes, I've actually never been to Chicago, the city itself.
Wait, so were you pro movie or pro musical?
I've never seen the stage version.
Okay.
I've only seen the movie, and the movie is one of my all-time favorites. Like that is a 5-star film for me, up there with like The Incredibles, Casino Royale, Casablanca. Like I love that movie. It's one I will never stop watching. I've never seen it on stage. I would like to at some point. Some people say the stage version is better. Other people say the movie's a lot better.
I just want to see the stage version of
Cellblock Tango.
No, the Cellblock Tango.
Yeah.
But no, Reach for the Gun.
Oh, okay.
Because that's my favorite number from the movie.
I'd be very interested in the stage version too, because the movie plays so well cutting between reality and then the fantasy of it and contrasting those. Like the song that introduced Billy Flynn, where he's like talking about all he cares about is love, and when he's in the musical part of it, he's like, dressed like a pauper and signing shoes. And then the reality is he's like, yelling at people while getting this like super nice suit done.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see how they play that in a stage. So never seen it though, so I don't know. But yeah, so go listen to me get super drunk and talk about it. It's real fun.
Yay.
Yeah. I think that basically does it for us. So if you want to reach out to us, and Cameron, what's our favorite phrase?
If you want to tell us what we got wrong this week.
Reach out, and we are at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, and Instagram. I am personally at Lordifer on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at CamDexter_adventures. And then I finally posted
I
again
saw you did,
on my art blog, Cameron.Dexter. I'm hoping to get a few more in this next month before I go back on my hiatus. And then
what's the next one in the bag? What's coming up next for us? Or give us a tease.
The inside scoop is for March. I want to do a few posts to help promote Ready Player One, since that comes out at the end of March.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, you guys heard it here, folks.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Exclusive.
Exclusive from the host.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get those done with everything else getting done. And then when this episode comes out, tomorrow will be the launch of Core Memories.
Yes.
So at Core Memory Co. at corememory.com, corememoryco.com. If you like Disney stuff, go buy my stuff.
Yeah, see, I've noticed you've been posting some of the t-shirts over this last week, and they are. I said this before. You're gonna get me to wear a crew neck, man, which is.
I'll get you the V-neck of all of them.
Custom-made V-neck of all of them. And Wes, do you want to post mention any social media stuff?
No.
I figured not, but I thought I'd ask.
I think I have.
Bowl past you
the
there.
only one I have left is maybe a LinkedIn that is probably two or three.
Plug it. Let's get that.
2 or 3. I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you what my LinkedIn handle is, or.
Yeah. But anyways, Wes, thanks so much for literally flying down here to join us for the podcast.
Well, when you told me about what you guys were doing and I started listening to these, I've told you multiple times that this is the episode that if I want to talk about, I want to be, down here to do with you. So thank you for having me, and this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, your first podcast.
It is my first podcast.
Ever, yeah, and we went all fancy. We came back down to Nerdist to do it in the booth rather than just doing it in my living room.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, give you the full experience.
The full on thing.
Full, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So
you can see all of our movie posters behind here.
That
we brought over from our crossover.
So
we need more.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Homecoming, which I actually recently watched.
Yeah.
I thought, real quick.
Yeah.
But,
whatever.
I thought the first half was kind of meh, and the second half was, I thought, really good.
Yeah.
The first half was, I felt like a kid movie, and it was all teenage angst and stuff. And I'm sorry, I don't remember what that's like because I'm an adult now and have real responsibilities and work and crap like that.
Back before the world shattered your fantasies.
How
great everything is.
I know. But
I rue that day.
I know, yeah. Don't worry, Cameron. You got a few years left, buddy.
Thank God.
Yeah. But Homecoming, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
I know, and you're actually gonna go see Infinity War in theaters.
Yes. Like I said,
and now it's officially out there, so you have to.
Well, yeah, it's on the internet, so it must be true, right?
Exactly.
That's what I kind of forgot going to the theater this week, is that there were movies coming out between Black Panther and Infinity War. And I kind of just like escaped my mind that stuff is still existing.
There's other things we have to talk about instead.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have to do an episode just for Ready Player One, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I know. We're not doing that as a crossover, but you're going to need that.
I'm going to need it.
Okay, well, we'll make that a bonus episode. All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, and welcome to At Least There's This. Nope, that's not. Why, that's not welcome. This is an advertisement. Hi guys, this is an advertisement, so you're not welcome to At Least There's This. Ad. Hi guys. The world can really suck sometimes, right? There are neo-Nazis who just, exist, and North Korea is doing its whole North Korea thing. But at least there's love, and plants, and dog fostering, and the Christmas truce of 1914. So join me every, probably Tuesday, for a new episode of At Least There's This, where I bring on a insightful or funny or just good friend to talk to me about some of the silver linings in our gross world of hurt. Oh, and because I forgot to mention, I'm on the Nerdist School Network. This is me on my phone now because I'm forgetful. Oh, and also my name is Alex Schiffman. That's who I am, so I just forgot to mention that for most of this ad, and I'm pretty sure that's important. Look me up.
The Nerdist School Network. For class and show information, visit nerdistschool.com.